Welcome to another edition of the Tiger Football Report. I'm your host, Spiro Marikas, along with the head coach of the Tigers, Rob Ambrose, a man who is now tied for 10th with Don Brown. All-time wins in the CAA/Yankee Conference/Atlantic 10. So over the 75-year history of that conference, you are now tied for 10th with Don Brown, who's still coaching but not in the CAA.
UMass.
Congratulations.
Thanks. So what are we going to talk about?
You got the number 10 after your team came up with a huge victory against Villanova, a team fighting for a playoff spot, a team that knew they had to win every game going out, and you handed it to them. There's no other way to put it. Best defensive effort of the year by far. What was the difference? And I know you had a lot of adversity during the week to overcome to get ready for Saturday's game.
Well, we've been playing some really good football teams, some really good offenses, like some nationally ranked, kick-your-butt kind of amazing offenses. And I'm not saying that Villanova isn't one of them. They are. But after playing relatively poorly against William & Mary defensively and then giving up as many yards as we did against Monmouth, our guys got a little bit to prove. And to be honest, we've been practicing pretty darn hard for the last couple of weeks, working on third downs, working on tackling better, flying around the football, not just as a defense, but as a team. And as you saw on Saturday, the tempo was high. Everybody was flying around, and we were pretty impressive in all three phases.
It was very impressive. And offensively, you really got going in the second half. The first half, you were moving the ball, couldn't quite put points on the board. You led 10-3 at halftime. What was your message to the offense at halftime?
Finish. And that honestly, at that point, we had already rushed for a ton of yards, and we were being extremely physical on both sides of the ball, and it showed. And the goal was, don't stop. Just keep going. If they're leaning backwards, push them over. And we did. We played really, really good in the second half, won the fourth quarter big time. The bigger thing was we talked about what was the plan to beat them, because they have a dynamic pass game with huge, big play potential. And they've run the ball for over 200 yards a game against everybody they played. They've thrown the ball for over 200 yards a game. Everybody they played, and they scored 30 to 40 points against everybody they played. And we needed to stop the run. We needed to not give up the big play. And we needed to run the ball to control the clock and keep the ball out of their hands so they couldn't do that. Sprinkle a little really good special teams play in there, and that sounds like a good game plan.
Second week in a row, Diego Hunter wins the CAA Special Teams Player of the Week. And this week, you add one. Isaiah Perkins wins the Rookie of the Week. He had a couple of touchdown catches. Talk about Isaiah and the year he's had this season.
Well, that's been coming. You can see this in the spring. He's a gray shirt, so he came in the spring. It's very rare that a young man comes in and can pick up the offense as quickly as he has. Formations he got in 2 weeks, and I've had guys that couldn't figure it out in 3 years. He could do it in 2 weeks. Worked his way into the two deep the minute he got here. Had a great summer. Started off the season really, really well and got a little dinged up. And truth be told, his body, he hadn't played that much football in his entire life. So he's overcoming a little nagging injury, but overcome, and he's kind of hit his second wind as we hit the back end of the season, and he looked like he's got fresh legs. It was good to have him back out there.
Speaking of second wins, Diego Hunter's on about his 8th win, it seems like. Every game now, he's coming up with the big play. Punt return for a touchdown, had a huge kickoff return to start the game. What else can you say about this young man?
He's not tall. I mean, seriously, that's about it. He's an incredible athlete. He's a 3-sport athlete in high school. He's great GPA, works really hard. Yes, ma'am, no, sir kind of kid. Comes from a great, great family. He was a little beat up in the beginning of the season, and you could tell like he was half a step off. But it's why I want to compliment him. Having a return guy like that is pretty impressive, but he's not doing it all by himself. There's 10 other guys that are kicking butt out there, and it seems like the more success we have, the more excited these guys are to actually do it, realizing, oh my God, not only can we change field position, we can change the outcome of a game. And special teams practice seems to be a little more locked in. And when we call for special teams now, it's like, let's go, baby. It's pretty exciting.
The other exciting thing about Saturday is you didn't have to call your punter out onto the field too often. Although he's a heck of a weapon, he's a guy that you don't want to see a whole lot.
No, and truth be told, we haven't. We're one of, I don't know, we're at 40% or something like that on third down, and we go for it on fourth down a lot. He's a little angry at me that he doesn't get as many reps as he does, but if you notice in the second half of the season, we tend to be a little more aggressive, especially on longer downs. And I told Ty and the guys, I go, hey, let it loose. Just go ahead. Don't worry about it. As long as we don't turn the ball over, as long as we don't turn it over, it's fine. We got Riley. And they were discussing a play call on a deep down, and I said, don't worry about it. And we didn't get it. We dropped it or whatever it is, so we had to punt. And I'm smiling. And he nuts a, 60-some, incredible that goes out on the 6. And I'm on the, see, it's okay. You know what I mean?
And I mentioned on the air, if they had been playing in Dallas' stadium, he would have hit the scoreboard. That ball was so high.
And what's crazy is if you go back just in the recent past, Shane McDonough's a damn good punter. He's punting at NC State right now. Who was before him? Jake Ryder? Jake Ryder was the number 2 punter in the country when the season was over. And I want to say that in 10, 11, or 11, 12, and 13, we had good punters, but we didn't punt enough, so they never got any.
Right.
They got nominations for anything. They just didn't have enough reps. So we've done a very good job of who we recruited and how well they've turned out. They work hard. Those kids really work hard.
All right, Villanova's in the rearview mirror now. Stony Brook coming up this Saturday up in Long Island. For you guys, huge game. You have a chance to have a winning record. You have a chance to have a 500 conference record. And you're going to face a Stony Brook team that was really down in the dumps, but came up with a big win on Saturday against Morgan, kicking a field goal in the last play of the game.
It did. They, honestly, it was one of the most physical teams in the conference. They've proven that time and time again. And while they're okay on the road, they're exceptional at home. They really are. If you ask anybody in the league, one of the hardest places to go win is at Stony Brook. Chuck does a great job. Defensively, they started very strong, and they have done nothing but do just that. They run their scheme as well as anybody in this league. They're talented, fast, and really, really physical. They got decimated at the running back position early in the season, and I want to say they only got one left, and that's a tough way to go. If I understand it correctly, last week that kid he carried the ball 36 times, and he's been the sole tailback for more than a month. So I give a lot of credit to him that they're found a way to do that, and they're manufacturing points. They're doing a good job playing strong defense and trying to figure it out. Well-coached team with a lot of players, just one big hole there. So we'll have our hands full. We know it.
On offense, they've used 2 quarterbacks just about evenly. How do you game plan against each of them?
Well, I mean, they both have a skill set, and they both have history. So you look at the plays that they've run and try to see how many times they've repeated those. They're like, okay, that's the kind of stuff he likes. This is the kind of stuff he likes. But the last kid came in and led him down the field to kick the winning field goal at the end. Played a lot in the second half. So I think I'll play both of them. Is he just going to play? I don't know. They throw more when he's in a ball game. So it'll be different. I don't know. We'll see.
For you guys, 2 wins in a row now. I'm sure practice probably gets even more lively, doesn't it, when you're winning?
Well, yeah, I guess. It's more focused. Honestly, it's now more like. I'm not there yet, but it's closer as we get to a professional practice. Like the kid's like, okay, this is what we got to do. This is how we got to do it, and this is the result we can get if we do. So they're pretty much locked in. The good news is, last week 30 to 40 guys who could not practice because of the flu. I'm getting, I lose 1 or 2 every now and then, but I'm getting a bunch back. So we're cycling through it. That's a tough time for everybody. I've talked to a couple coaches around the league and not in the league, but all over the country, and it's kind of crazy. This is a flu thing that's really kind of wild.
At your running back position, Devin Matthews shows great potential. He's been banged up almost the entire season. Now all of a sudden, Joe Bangda is healthy and went over 100 yards for the first time this week. And he's a guy who, how do you put it? He runs mad.
He runs mad. Runs with a purpose. Well, let's put it this way. Our run game is greatly improved when we have all 3 of them. That's it. And the best way to describe it is, you have fastball, curveball, and a changeup, or as many pitches as you have. I joke with Devin that he has yet to start and finish a game without limping away. And the day that he does, the day that he can make it through games consistently, he could have a chance to be a 1,000-yard rusher. And Joe's got the same way. They're different running styles, but same effectiveness. And having Diego in there to be able to do a little bit of both, plus the stuff that he does out of the backfield, it makes it for a dangerous combination that you're trying to figure out how you're going to call the defense based on what our personnel is. And it's not just how many linemen or tight ends or wideouts on the field. It's which back you're trying to defend.
All right, the Tigers will take on the Seawolves Saturday at 1 o'clock. Gordy and I will have the call for you on TowsonTigers.com starting at 12:45 with the pregame show. So, for the head coach of the Tigers. Again, 10th all-time in CAA wins. Rob Ambrose, I'm Spiro Marikas. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of the Tiger Football Report.